Um,
Hello.
Hello, ma'am. We are live on YouTube, ma'am.
ओके. ऑडिओ ठीक आहे का मी इयरफोन्स लावू?
प्रॉपर आहे. हेडफोन्स लावून एकदा चेक करूया.
आता एको होतोय का?
नाही, प्रॉपर आहे. से रिमूव्ह विदाउट हेडफोन्स.
विदाउट हेडफोन्स बेटर आहे.
ओके, सो आय शेअर विथ यू द लिंक. ओके,
हे ठीक आहे आता?
प्रॉपर. पण आजूबाजूचा आवाज जास्त येतोय थोडासा.
हो.
मध्येच जास्त हलू
हो.
मी व्हिडिओ ऑफ
Good evening, Sumaira.
Good evening, sir. Sir, we cannot hear you. Your voice is not audible. No, sir.
Now it is audible.
Yes, sir, it is audible. Sir, we are waiting for a few more minutes so that everybody will gather and then we'll begin.
Okay, my photo. You can see me also, ना?
Yes, yes, sir. We can see you.
Okay. वो म्यूट पे था इसके लिए.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We will wait for some few more minutes for everyone to join in and then we will start with the webinar. Hello, we will begin now. Aditi?
A very good evening to everyone. I, Aditi Srimantagauri, on behalf of Chembu Trombe Education Society and NG Acharya and DK Marathe College, welcome you all for our webinar on study skills becoming a strategic learner, organized by Department of Psychology. For this, I welcome our honorable speakers, Dr. Satish Chandra Kumar sir and Ms. Saili Gurav ma'am. Welcome our management members. I welcome our respected principal, Dr. Vidya Gauri Lele ma'am, and vice principals, RJ Chauhan sir, Rama ma'am, and Ali sir. I welcome our head of psychology department, Kashmira Pandit ma'am, and all respected teachers. And last but not the least, I welcome all students who are eagerly waiting for webinar to start. Now, we will move ahead. I invite Mehjabeen to introduce the topic of our webinar. Over to you, Mehjabeen.
Thanks, Aditi. Good evening, everyone. We students are already distracted with so many social media options, and this pandemic added color to it. In this challenging yet boring environment, we tend to forget that we also have to study. We are facing problems like lack of concentration, procrastination, disinterest in attending classes, and the inability to understand the subject. Sometimes we cannot focus on our goals thanks to the varied options available on the net. It attracts us towards various internet addictions, be it posting a reel on Instagram or posting a selfie on Snapchat. Therefore, it's necessary for us to exercise special study skills to excel. For this purpose, we have organized this webinar to help and enlighten all the students towards becoming a strategic learner. Now, I invite Kashmira ma'am to take over. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mehjabeen, for the introduction. Now I invite our principal, Dr. Vidya Gauri Lele ma'am, to motivate us.
Good evening to everybody. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
On behalf of Chembu Trombe Education Societies, NG Acharya and DK Marathe College of Arts, Science and Commerce, I welcome all the participants who are present here, and especially Professor and Head Department of Psychology of University of Mumbai, Dr. Satish Chandra Kumar, and today's guest speaker, Dr. Saili Gurav Madam. I also take this opportunity to welcome all those who are attending this webinar and who are psychology students. I'm sure today's webinar is going to be an enriching experience for all of you. And I would like to add here few things about our college because this is an opportunity for me to introduce my college to all of you. Our college was started in the year 1978. So we have completed a journey of 42 years of imparting higher education to the students who are interested in variety of subjects. Like, as you know that we have arts, science, commerce, and special courses. We are conducting today 10 bachelor's courses, 3 postgraduate courses, and our college is also a recognized research center for 2 doctoral courses. One is in chemistry and one is in advanced accountancy. This is a special year for us because next year we are going to introduce 6 papers in psychology in our college. For all these years, we had only psychology till SYBA, but now we will be having it for TY also. Although we have other subjects for TY, that is economics, sociology, English, but now we will be also starting 6 papers of psychology. Till this date, we were, having only 3 papers in psychology. So I welcome all those who are interested in doing that is a career in psychology. So I welcome all of you. Another thing that is because now you may come to my college and to Saili madam and Satish Chandra sir, as well as those faculties who are who have joined this webinar and the students from variety of colleges, I feel I must introduce them, my college in brief. Our college has four USBs, sorry. First one is that is we have an AstroTurf, that is a modernized and sophisticated facility for sports. We have huge playground, a spacious gymkhana. We have NCC unit as well as NSS unit. Our for the students of NCC, that is the cadets of NCC, we also have a special facility that is an obstacle course on which they can practice, and we also invite the students from the of NCC from nearby colleges. We have a botanical garden, and the latest addition to our infrastructure is of amphitheater. We have an amphitheater of around 200 sitting capacity, so you all can enjoy this. And as well as this, we have a spacious library of two floors, in which there are more than 65,000 books. That is last but not the least is we have an NSS unit, which is one of the biggest in the University of Mumbai with 300 NSS volunteers in it. So with this brief introduction, I again welcome Dr. Satish Chandra Kumar as well as Saili Gurau Madam. Thank you for joining us, and I'm sure that is you will support us when we will start 6 papers of psychology in the next year. Thank you so much and welcome all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was indeed motivating for us and to know more about the college to everyone who are new here. Now, I would like to introduce the Department of Psychology of NG Acharya and DK Marathe College, which was established in the year 1979. The department aims to empower students by imparting knowledge and understanding of the subject of psychology. The department focuses and stresses on application of psychology to the real life. The department offers knowledge about various branches of psychology at FYBA, SYBA, and TYBA level. Along with academics, the department conducts various sessions, activities, workshops related to the subject. And recently, a certificate course was also conducted by the department on moral values inculcation. Similarly, a lot of field visits were also arranged by the department to inculcate interest among the students. The department conducted various community outreach programs to develop students' awareness towards social responsibility. Today, as ma'am has already declared, that we are on the verge of starting 6 papers of psychology at TYBA level from the next academic year. Now, I would like to introduce our inaugural speaker, Dr. Satish Chandra Kumar, sir. Dr. Satish Chandra Kumar is a professor of industrial and organizational psychology and head of the University Department of Applied Psychology of University of Mumbai. He is a coordinator of Mahatma Gandhi Peace Center. He has published more than 40 research articles in reputed international and national journals. He is co-editor of university online journal Sambhashan. He published 5 books and guided 7 PhD students, as well as still 7 students more are getting benefited of his knowledge and guidance. He received honor as a guest lecturer in many countries. He had received prestigious fellowship to work with Albert Ellis, Helen Balmer, David Daniel, and so on. He is the chairperson for Board of Psychology and also the member of Academic Council. Last but not the least, many of his students who specialized in industrial and organizational psychology are at the top level of the corporate and academic world, both in India as well as abroad. We are honored and privileged to have you here, sir. I now invite sir to begin with his inaugural speech.
Uh, Thank you, Professor Kashmira, head of the department, for giving a brief introduction about me. Respected Madam Professor Lele, Principal, NG Acharya and DK Marathe College, respected Chavan Sir, Vice Principal of the program, HOD, students, Aditi, and others who are also backbone of this program, and also today's distinguished speaker, Saili Guru from Mithibai College. Let me appreciate NG Marathe College as well as the principal for being very active and dynamic, especially for the activities which she conducts not only in her college, but also expands it to the different colleges and including university setup. I had a close association of working with her, and I know the potential and talent beyond the scope, beyond the college. I can consider this activity as a college social responsibility. You know, there is NAC has given that university social responsibility should be there. UGC has been mentioning that colleges and universities should also guide the society. So having said that, this can be considered as one of the activities of college social responsibility. The topic which has been chosen, and that is very, very apt in today's scenario, as one of the students while making the presentation has clearly brought out, that is study skills becoming a strategic learner. As you know that 1 year of pandemic, that is COVID-19, has got over. And as you have seen that COVID-19 scenario has hit each and every one of the society, and which has taken a lot of turmoil, both physically as well as psychologically. Uh, Now there is a new normal. There is a change from what we call face-to-face interaction to an online mode. And today every aspect has become an online. From entry to exit of a student is totally online. Many of the teachers have not seen the new batches. And I will tell you about my experience also. The second batch has entered, but we have not seen each other at a physical level, that is face to face, but it is online. Now there are challenges at every front, whether it is a front of student experiencing education, experiencing study this thing. Student also experience a lot of challenges while remaining at home, because in a city like Mumbai, you don't have a spacious house, and then you have to go online. There are 2 or 3 other family members at home. Simultaneously, you have to go into all those things. Besides this, there are different kinds of, I will not call as a negative stress or anything, because I believe in a positive psychology. And for every respect, you have to adapt to the scenario. You have to adjust to the new kind of normal we have. You have to be very disciplined in your approach, not only in your studies, but also in your daily habits which are there. And I feel that this workshop and the speaker, Saili Guru, who is a product of our department, and I know her closely, she will be doing a great justice to this topic, and definitely students will benefit about this study skill and becoming a strategic learner. When we use the learner and learning, learner and a learner learning process, where a teacher teaching process is there, it means you have to acquire, assimilate, integrate, and develop all those things. And each and every student has the potentiality. It doesn't mean that students do not have the potentialities. Now you don't have to respond to any event which are changing. So you find that outside world in this pandemic has been changing a lot. So what is very essential is you don't have to react. You have to respond to the scenario. So many of the time, as you will be understanding, the anxiety is only in the imagination. It is not in the reality, because we ourselves create the anxieties. Just as they will be going, and I think Guru will, Saili will be going in and explaining the skills, how to do the preparation and how to perform in the examination. And I think the skills will be very, very essential. And as a student who is of undergraduate, we will also, I will also try to tell them to read some of the works. Pandemic has not been a new phenomenon. It has existed earlier also, how people responded to it. Very, very important thing is that we have to be very, very disciplined. Routine and discipline, which is a very habits which has to be there and which has to be followed. So Viktor Frankl, In Search of Meaning, which is one of the greatest masterpiece, I think they should, each one of us should read this book, because it tells about during that period, not pandemic, but another scenario, how did he manage to maintain his well-being? I'm again speaking well-being, which is there. And many of the time students have also mentioned in the introductory this thing, lack of concentration, focus, lot of attraction you have, internet addiction, lot of choices are there because a lot of things which are there. So as a student, you have to classify between what is good, what is right, how much time you have to spend on the social media, and suddenly what happens is we do not process this thing. Is it necessary to get into the social media and to get those kinds of this thing which is there, to spend that much of time? Because when you spend on that, addictive behavior are going to have it. Beside this, Indian culture teaches you, and I think madam has also spoken about human values. One of the very important thing is understanding self and managing self. And we can manage self very well if we have the body management, emotion management, mind management, and for which maybe a little bit of practice of health will be doing it. Maybe gymming, maybe mindfulness, mindfulness, sitting very calmly with yourself for 10 minutes, closing your eyes and concentrating on a breathing, simple exercise before and after. I think it does wonders for anything because it removes you from the distraction. Madam, I assure you that you have a good head of the department, and I have seen her working also, because she is a visiting faculty and she takes a lot of initiative in students, and especially field visit, community exercise, which you have mentioned about it. It is the need of the hour if psychology has to grow and develop. I am very happy from the university, from the department, that your college has started, because I think a lot of students will benefit this, because this subject is not only helping others but also helping ourselves and helping the community. And we need more psychologists in this country. There is a great amount of demand where the social problems, psychological problems, challenges are increasing. I won't call it as a problem, but challenges are increasing. Beside whatever good things you are doing it, I will also see that some resources you spend in developing counseling center, because counseling center is a need of the hour for not only for college students within, but also nearby community. They can make best of use of it. Having said this, I won't take much of the time, definitely from department and from whatever best I can do it as a board, chairman of the board of studies. Definitely we will be helping you out, cooperating with you, whatever you require from our side. We will be always willing to help it out and nurture it. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to make the introductory remark. And over to you, Kashmira.
Thank you so much, sir, for your appreciation. It was a great start of this webinar by trying to give us a positive perspective and spreading positivity all over. One important learning I think I got is to learn to respond and not to react things which are there around us, and looking things as challenge and not as a problem. Thank you so much, sir, for your insight and your valuable guidance. Now I would like to, we would go to the next session. I would like to introduce our speaker, Saili Gurau ma'am. Saili Gurau is an assistant professor at Mitibai College of Arts, Science and Commerce Autonomous. She is full-time faculty for MA Psychology. She is currently pursuing her PhD at University of Mumbai. She is practicing psychologist and continues to see patients as per their requirements. Previously, she was visiting faculty at Wilson College, Elphinstone College, and National College as well. She was teaching assistant at University Department of Applied Psychology in University of Mumbai. She completed her master's in applied psychology with specialization in clinical psychology from the University of Mumbai and cleared her NET in first attempt in the year 2016. And that's a lot about Saili ma'am. I think she can take over. I request Saili ma'am to begin with her interaction.
Thank you, Kashmira, for that wonderful introduction. Before I begin, I would like to thank NJ Acharya College, Lele Madam, for giving me this opportunity to come and conduct this webinar. And a special thank you to Satish sir for taking out his valuable time. As he already mentioned, we have a very long and strong association since I was a student in my master's when I was doing my master's from the University of Mumbai. So it's truly an honor, and I appreciate you taking time out to give the inaugural speech. So before I start sharing my screen, I want to talk a little bit about why we are having this session today, why the webinar is being conducted, what's the importance of these study skills. As the introduction given by the students was very apt, they have pointed out really key aspects of the issue that we are facing. The pandemic, unfortunately, is still not over. We are very much still in an ongoing pandemic. Changed drastically over. Change has occurred in the way we learn. Change has occurred in the way we attend lectures. And of course, change has occurred in the way we would attempt exams. Our life has changed, but we have to adapt with all the change that is coming our way. I know you have heard this term so many times, the new normal, but we cannot crib and cry about the new normal. We have to adapt our strategies, our ways of dealing with the pandemic, the new normal. We have to adapt our strategy so that we become more efficient and more effective. We are in a situation which we do not have much control of. What we have control of is the way we respond. As Satish sir and Kashmira ma'am also said, that our only control is how we respond. And I think we should respond to the situation in a much better way so that we come out of it as becoming more productive and efficient in whatever we are doing. Now, today I'm not here in the capacity of a professor to preach to you about what you should do and what you should not do. I'm here to tell you about some strategies. I'm here as a co-learner. I want to be a part and share all the strategies that you can do. Of course, all of us have our own unique strategies, but what would be different is using strategies that are research based, which is exactly what I will be talking about. Research evidence backed strategies so that we use strategies that are truly effective. And these strategies are not going to only help you as a student, but if you inculcate these as habits, they will help you in your professional life as well. They will help you become more productive and efficient if you use these strategies and incorporate them as your habits. So we will be discussing about strategies and how they could be useful for you. Remember that this is not about preaching, but this is about a learning process, and I'm here to share some strategies as a co-learner for you. I'll just quickly share my screen so we can begin with the webinar. Yes. So talking about study skills and why it is important. Now, the format of the webinar is going to be something like where we are going to be looking at what you should be doing before your lectures. So some preparation before, some strategies to use during the lectures, and some effective techniques and strategies to be used after your lectures are over. So this is going to be the format that we will be following: strategies and techniques before, during, and after your lectures. Make the most out of the situation, even if the times are uncertain and given the online mode. So I will be talking about specific strategies which can be used in offline mode and especially used now in the online mode as well. We will be surrounding our discussion around something called as the study cycle. Now, the study cycle is the way in which any student functions, the way that they should ideally be functioning, a system which will give us a structure which will help us understand what needs to be done, what steps are to be followed. Now, the study cycle surrounds this concept of PLRS system. Now, PLRS system was developed by Frank Kreis. What is PLRS system? This is what PLRS system is. First stage of PLRS is preview. Second stage is learning. Third stage is review. And fourth stage is study stage. So we will be looking at what you need to do as at each of these 4 levels, and some additional strategies will also be discussed throughout the webinar. Now, PLRS technique is something that can be applicable to any student, and irrespective of which field they come. So even if you are from social science, pure sciences, commerce background, you can easily apply this system of PLRS technique to any of your learning, no matter which kind of subject. That is why we've conducted this in a very general way, so that you know, and it is beneficial for all the students who are watching us today. So let's start with the PLRS system, beginning with step 1, that is preview. Now, in preview phase, what are you supposed to do? Preview is conducting things before the lectures begin. So what are some of the things that you need to keep in mind before your lectures begin? Look at the bigger picture. You know what your professors are going to be teaching you. Look at what all topics are going to be covered. Look at the bigger picture. When you fit concepts in the bigger picture, you are able to understand the whole chapter much better. So taking an overview, taking a bird's eye view, looking at the overall picture of what is going to be taught to you before the lecture begins. Now, how are you going to achieve that? You're going to achieve that by doing some pre-class reading. What will the pre-class reading involve? It will involve reading through the headings, introduction, and the summary of the chapter. So let's say your professor is teaching chapter number 1. What is there in chapter number 1? You simply have to take out 5 to 10 minutes of your time, which we all have now that we are in the online mode. We don't have to travel or take time to reach college. And even if we are traveling, we will be able to take these 5 to 10 minutes out before each of the lecture to read through what is going to be taught in that lecture. So read through the headings, read through the introduction, read through the summary. This is going to give you that idea of the bigger picture. What is the overall point that is being attempted to be made by the professor or by the chapter and the content that is being taught to you? So pre-class reading is very important. It will help you familiarize with certain terms. Up concepts के नाम at least आपको पता होने चाहिए, so that you are able to engage better. If you do your pre-class reading, you will be more motivated and you will be able to focus better during the lecture. As in the introduction, one of the students rightly said that there is so much distraction, there is so much difficulty in concentrating. These pre-class readings are going to ensure that you are motivated, you are eager to learn, you are interested in what the material is going to be taught to you. So pre-class reading, very, very important. What do we call this pre-class reading? It's called as skim reading. You're skimming through. That means just ऊपर से आप topics पढ़ रहे हो, headings पढ़ रहे हो, introduction or summary पढ़ रहे हो. Because of this skim reading, you are able to understand what is going to be taught, and this is very, very crucial for you to do. If you haven't been doing it, please start doing this. This is going to help you understand and stay motivated and focused during the lectures. So skim reading plus lectures, research has said that it is one of the best combinations. You are previewing your material through skim reading along with lectures. The lectures will go in depth and your skim reading will help you come to know and familiarize with the content. Moving on to the next stage, that is the learn stage. Now in the learn stage, what all are you expected to do? In the learn stage, you will be mentally present. You must have heard this by your professor so many times. Are you physically here, but are you mentally here in class? In the pandemic, we have so many distractions around us in the online mode. Being mentally present in class is very, very important. It is going to determine your level of concentration, your attention. So being mentally present is the first thing that you need to do. So consciously be there in the class, attend to what all information your professors are trying to give you. Now, second, very important is listening to other students' doubts. Now, why is this important? When you listen to some other students' doubt, one, uh, that same doubt may have come in your mind. शायद आप पूछ नहीं पा रहे होंगे क्लास में for whatever reason, or you may not have had that thought come to your mind, but because some other student has asked you, you are definitely going to benefit from that student's doubt. Second advantage is that because the student has asked a doubt, your professor is going to teach that topic again, or teach that topic in more depth, or take the topic a little more slow. This is going to be for your advantage as well, because you are going to be exposed to the information again. You will listen to the explanation twice, and we all know that practice and repeated exposure is very, very crucial, and it's very important. So because this second time, it's sort of a revision in class only that takes place. You are able to listen to what the professor has to say, and this is going to enrich your own learning. So listen to other students' doubts, and that is also going to be something that you need to do during lectures. Taking notes. Especially in the online scenario where distractions are so easily available, taking notes would mean that we are paying more attention. It is forcing us to pay more close attention to the lecture, because you're listening to what the professor is saying. You are also noting down what they are saying. By making notes, you are engaging yourself. You are becoming involved in the content. So very important is to take notes. I'm sure बहुत students अब पहले से ही notes लेते हैं, but how can we change the way in which we take notes is now something that you would probably be understanding. So when you're taking notes, you don't have to write everything verbatim. It's enough even if you write the keywords. Some students are used to handwriting the notes. Some students are used to now typing because of the online mode. So whatever the mode is, both are equally effective as long as you take notes. The notes are going to help you in the next stage, and I will discuss that when we go there. But taking notes is very important for you to continue to stay concentrated in the lecture. So your concentration, your attention levels are going to be sustained simply because you're taking notes, you're becoming a part, and you're involved in the lecture. Now, another thing that you can do while you are taking notes is noting down the questions. Very often, professors also say when they are discussing and having lectures, they will also give you the type of questions that can come for the exam. So, this is a good cue for you. It is a good clue for you to understand, okay, what to expect during examination, how to prepare for the content. That is one thing. Second thing is that you might have some doubts which you might forget because the professor is continuing to give their explanation. And if they have moved on to the next topic, you may forget what your doubt was about the previous topic. So very important when you're making notes, note down the questions that you have. Maybe you can ask the professor in the next class or at the end of the class. So by noting it down, you're not forgetting. You're having much more in-depth learning because of noting down. So note down your questions as well. Very important during lectures. Next is generating and listening to examples. A lot of professors use examples which are not there in the textbook, and that help you a lot in understanding the content. Very often we use international textbooks. Now in the online mode, we have PDFs of books which we get, which may be international books, which are not adapted for the Indian context. Your professors will give you examples related to the Indian context, and that is important for you to note down. And you should also generate your own examples. So keeping in mind your own examples plus the examples that the professor is giving you, both are going to enhance your learning. Through examples, you're going to be understanding the content much better. You're going to be able to relate the theory to the examples. So noting down examples as part of your note making is very important. And the last strategy, which is using apps to block out distraction. Now, some people may disagree with me on this, but I believe that technology is beneficial, but it also has its disadvantages. To tackle the disadvantages of technology, we have to use technology. We cannot run away from technology because it is very much a part of our life. We have managed to survive the pandemic because of technology, but sometimes that technology could be harmful. So how are we going to deal with it? We are going to use technology to deal with the disadvantages of technology itself. So during lectures, and this is something that you can use in your study phase as well, use some apps that will block out your distractions. So you can use apps that I've given on the screen as examples. You have something called as app block, which blocks out all your unnecessary notification, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, none of that. All the essential content will be remaining. Or some of the apps also have a feature where you do not get anything. You don't get messages, or calls can be go on silent mode. All these apps are going to be beneficial for you to stay focused. You know that you have lectures for only few hours in the day. If you stay completely focused during those few hours, you're going to benefit a lot from it. Another example of the app is Forest. It's called Forest Stay Focused. This app is also very interesting. You can just simply go on to Google Play Store. I'm sure it's available for the Apple users as well. You can use these apps to stay focused. We have to use technology to take care of all the disadvantages of technology itself. So try doing that. If you find it difficult to intrinsically stay focused, to keep away from distractions from your phone, try all these apps so that you are more focused. Give those hours of the lectures your best concentration and attention, and that is definitely going to help you when you are studying and giving your exams. So that is the learn stage. Next stage is review stage. What are you going to do in the review stage? This stage is for after lectures. What are you supposed to do when lectures are over? Officially, college time is over. Now it is your time to study. First thing that you will be doing is reading through the material on the same day. Research says that uh, reading through material within 24 hours is highly beneficial. So going through material within the 24 hours itself is very, very important. And there is research evidence for that as well. So make sure that whatever notes you make, whatever content your professors are giving you make sure that you at least skim read. Remember skim reading from the first stage? You can do the skim reading immediately after class. And I'm sure we have this kind of time late night before we go to sleep or in the evening when we're relatively free. You can do these skim readings for your review stage as well. Familiarize with the information that is taught to you. Very, very important. In that way, your brain is storing all the information properly because it is one step of practice itself. So because you're familiarizing yourself with the information, it is one more round of practice which is going to help you when you are continuing to study for your exam. So reading your material within 24 hours, very, very important. Use your notes as an outline. So use it as a structure. Use your own notes to see what is concept 1, 2, 3, what has been taught by the professor. Sometimes professors may change the structure of the textbook itself. So the textbook may give you section 1, 2, 3, but the professors may teach certain sections together also. With your notes, you will be able to understand what the professor has taught and what kind of answers or questions are they expecting in the exam as well. So use the notes for as an outline, as a structure for you to understand what needs to be studied given that respective subject. Coming to a very important technique, which I'm sure everyone will benefit from, irrespective of which field you are, is something called as concept maps. Now, concept maps are basically visual representations of verbal information. Basically, हम जब बोर होते हैं lectures में, जब ध्यान नहीं लगता है, हम पता है last page पे drawings करते हैं. We are going to take that same drawings and use it to our advantage for studying. We are going to make studies fun. We're going to make studies interesting by using something called as concept maps. So how are we going to use concept maps? I'm going to show you one example and then explain to you how concept maps are made and how you can use it. If you see on the screen, you will see that there is a concept map for a concept that is climate change. Now, climate change is something that we have all studied in our school level at 11, 12 standard in EVS. We know climate change chapter has been taught to us. If you see this, this is a concept map. Now, in the concept map, you will see on the right-hand side, there is causes. On top, there is evidence and there is a solution. There are causes of climate change, which is human activity, natural environmental changes. Evidence for climate change. How do we prove that climate change is happening? You have melting glaciers, you have increase in extreme weather, warming oceans. Now, what are the solutions for climate change? You have further research. So we need research to understand how we can prevent the harmful effects of climate change. You have change in human behavior. We know that we have to explore renewable resources like solar energy, and we have to reduce all the fossil fuel burning, that is use of petrol and diesel, coal, etc. Now, if you think of the concept map that is on the screen, you will realize that this covers the entire chapter. You can go ahead and look for a textbook of EVS, a basic textbook which talks about climate change. You'll see that main heading is climate change, subheading says causes, whatever the causes are. Then there's evidence, whatever the evidence is, and solution. If you see, this one single concept map is covering the entire chapter. The concept map is interesting and it is fun and easy to make, but it's also giving you a big picture of the entire chapter. So using concept maps for your notes is a very good strategy. And concept maps can be made for any subject. You'll realize that if you make concept maps for each chapter or each section of the chapter, also, if you want more detailed concept maps, you can do that. And the best part of concept map is that you are generating the information because you have made the concept map. You will be able to remember the information from the concept map also much better when you're revising. So because you are involved in making of the concept maps, remembering of the information is also going to be much better. Imagine looking at this concept map when you are about to enter your examination hall. Final revision, think of this as the best way because it is covering the whole chapter. You have all the key pointers and you know the explanation that was given to you when professors were teaching you in class and whatever you have read. So concept maps are a really good and effective way of learning large pieces of information. And concept maps are highly customizable. You can make a concept map which may be different from the one that your friend has made. So those concept maps are going to be really important for you when you are studying the information and making, discussing about big chunks of information. I'll give you some more examples of concept map. This is an example of concept map for a science related subtopic, which is combustion. So what combustion requires? It requires fuel, oxygen, and heat. And what is the creation or the result of combustion? You have exhaustion and you have heat, which is generated in terms of energy. This is an example of science. Another example in terms of biology is this concept map about characteristics of blood. So you can have something for science field. Another example of concept map is for the students from commerce field. So this is a concept map for commerce related topics, things like marketing, customer service, productivity. You can see how much information is consolidated in one single concept map, and so much information can be understood and revised using the concept map. So these are some examples of concept maps. Now, as part of your review stage, you have to engage in something that is called as active recall. What is active recall? You have to be active part of the information that you are processing. जब हम टीवी देखते हैं तब हम passive information process कर रहे होते हैं. What is passive? When we are just seeing the TV पे कुछ चल रहा है and we are just simply looking at it. No, we are not going to do that for our studies. We are not going to simply look at the PPT or the lecture. We have to be involved. We have to be a part of the lecture. We have to take notes. How are you going to do the active recall? You are going to engage in the content. You are going to generate examples. You are going to take notes. All of this is going to help you stay connected. You are involved and engaged in the content. Active recall is that we are not going to passively watch the lecture that our professors are giving. We have to be a part of it. Only then if we are going to be able to generate the information. If you're not actively a part of it, you're not going to be able to remember information. Think of it as an example where अगर आपने कोई एक मूवी देखी है, आपको उस मूवी की स्टोरी बराबर पता होगी, पर किसी दोस्त ने स्टोरी बताई है तो आपको वो सेम स्टोरी दोहराने के लिए थोड़ी दिक्कत होगी. तो आपको एक्टिवली एंगेज करना है इंफॉर्मेशन में. यू हैव टू बी इन्वॉल्व. सो यू हैव टू बी present in the lecture, take notes, be involved, understand the material, ask doubts. That is very important. So active recall is very important. Another aspect of active recall is making notes with book close. Now we all make notes, but we usually make notes of textbook samne rakha and then you start taking the notes. Or you, nowadays we have all the PDFs and PPT that the professor may be sharing with us. With that, we simply look at the information and we write it down in our notebook. No, we have to change our strategy now. How do we do active recall? Read all the content, read and remember whatever the professors have told you during the lecture, and actively be a part of it by closing the book and generating the information on your own. When you are generating information on your own, you are going to better remember it. Your brain is storing the information for future recall. What is future recall? Your exam. एग्जाम में जब वही क्वेश्चन आएगा आपको वो सब चीजें याद आनी चाहिए. So for that, another change in strategy, notes making is a strategy that we all know, but now what change we have to bring to this strategy? Active recall by making notes with our closed books. If this is also one mode of revision that will happen. We are going to remember information from our own memory, from our own understanding. So making notes with your book closed, with all the material closed, you will be able to understand what you understood, what you did not understand, what are some of the doubts that you may have for the professor. So active recall, very, very important. So this is one change in strategy that we all need to bring in. And then the last stage according to PLRS system is the study stage. This is when your lectures are over, you are preparing for the final exams. What all other things you need to do when you are in the study phase? Compiling the material, especially in the online mode of teaching and learning, we have so many resources which are scattered everywhere. कोई एक book में notes है, you have PDFs, you have PPTs sent by the professors. Professors have recommended some YouTube videos, they have recommended some website. एक chapter का content बहुत सारी जगह पे है. What are we going to do? First, we're going to compile all of that. Make sure that you have a folder chapter wise or subject wise, so that in moment when you are when you're studying for the final exam or when exams are nearing by, you're not running around just to gather material. That is a very wrong strategy that many students I have seen adopt. So compile all your material from day one itself. If you haven't done it, my suggestion is please start doing that. You will be more organized. You will feel like you are in much more control because now you know where everything is. So even if the PPT is online, it's available with the professors who have sent it to you from whatever medium. Make sure that you have it downloaded on your computer or laptop and keep it together in one place so that whatever material you require, it is all available in one particular section and you know about it. Distributed practice versus massed practice. Now, what is distributed practice? You are going to practice a little every day. If you have to run a marathon, you can't say that kal marathon hai, mujhe aaj bhagne jana hai, I'll practice today and tomorrow I can run a marathon. No, that's not how it works, right? So we need to make sure that we practice a little every day. This applies to even studies. So distributed practice is better than massed practice. Mass practice is like kal marathon hai, main aaj bhagne ja raha hu, practice karne ja raha hu. No. Don't do that. That is just not going to help you in any way. You're going to cramp so much information on your brain. Your brain's not going to be able to process anything. So distributed practice, multiple practice sessions over the course of the semester. Semesters are usually 3 to 4 months long. We have enough time to have multiple rounds of practice and make use of all the resources that the professors are giving you for the distributed practice. Whatever your schedule permits you, have those distributed practice for you. Shorter intense sessions better than longer sessions. So study for a short duration but study it well. Nobody expects you to study for 24 hours. It's not humanly possible. But whatever hours you are studying, study it with your full concentration and attention. So short, intense sessions, and we will be discussing about this a little later, about what you need to do with short, intense sessions. And very important is to break the procrastination cycle. What is procrastination? Procrastination is aaj ka kaam kal pe dal dena. We're not going to be doing that. If we are procrastinating, we are going to feel guilty कि अरे assignment due है, I have to do it, but आज नहीं किया, time था but आज ऐसे ही time pass हो गया. You're going to feel guilty, you're going to feel bad. After you feel guilty, you're going to feel panic, you're going to be scared that अरे deadline pass में आ रही है, I don't know what to do, I haven't started. You'll start making excuses. You'll start saying अरे आज नहीं कल start करते, अभी बहुत late हो गया, अब मेरे पास notes भी नहीं है, दोस्त को कैसे call करूँ अभी. You'll start making excuses. You will procrastinate again. Again, today's work will go for tomorrow. So don't do that. Don't fall for the procrastination cycle. Make sure you break this cycle, especially in study phase. बहुत ऐसे होता है कि अभी 6 o'clock हो गए. Now I don't have energy to study. Study a little bit. Don't procrastinate it for the very next day. So break the study cycle. Coming to the very important technique which we will discuss for studying is the Pomodoro technique. Now, the Pomodoro technique was developed by Francesco Cirillo in late 1980s. It's a very well established, very old technique. A lot of us may be aware of it a little bit, but I want to introduce it to people who aren't aware and talk about it a little in depth. So, what is the Pomodoro technique? The Pomodoro technique is exactly about having those short, intense sessions that I spoke about. So, what does Pomodoro technique expect you to do? First, you have to list down all the tasks you have to do. Let's say today you have to study chemistry. You have to study chemistry chapter number 3. Chapter number 3 has 4 main sections. Today you have to at least do 2 of the sections. That is your task for today. Now you are going to set a timer for 25 or 30 minutes. The minimum time that Pomodoro technique says is minimum 25 minutes. If you feel like you can focus for 30 minutes, you can go ahead and set a timer for 30 minutes. In that 30 minutes, make use of those apps that I told you about staying away from distractions. If possible, the best way is to keep your phone away, keep other distractions away. 25 minutes, you are going to concentrate on that task that you have. 2 sections from chapter number 3 of chemistry. Now you're going to study for 25 minutes and you are going to not stop till that 25 minutes are done. Then you're allowed to take a 5-minute break. Now, in that 5 minutes, what you're going to do, this is very important. Very often in the break, under the name of taking a break, we immediately go on to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We are using our mental energies by doing that. So that is not allowed and that should not be done ideally in the Pomodoro technique. When you are taking a break, what is suggested? You get up from your place, stretch a little, go drink water, uh, take a small walk. We of course can't go out right now, but take a small walk in your house, go and talk to your parents or your siblings. With that, you are going to be actually resting your brain. By looking at Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, again your brain is processing information. You see some post on Instagram, you see some video on Facebook, you see some video on YouTube. Again, your brain is doing its work, right? It is processing information. There are some emotions that get involved when you're watching something. So don't do that. You have only 5 to 7 minutes. In those 5 to 7 minutes, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be effectively resting your brain. So in that 5-minute break, you have to make sure that you use the break in the optimum way to actually rest your mind and make sure that you are refreshed for the next session of study. Now, this 25 minutes of study and 5 to 10 minutes of break is going to be repeated for 4 cycles. Now, that is the basic prescription of the Pomodoro technique. If you do this for 4 sessions, you are actually studying for 2 hours. Now, if I tell you ki you have to study for 2 hours, it may seem so unrealistic, it may seem so scary. 2 घंटे कैसे concentrate होगा? How am I going to be able to study for 2 hours? But if I tell you that you have to study only for 25 minutes, it's much more doable, right? It is much more possible for you. You are not so scared about the fact that 25 minutes. Lectures be 25 minutes is zyada out there. So studying for 25 minutes is definitely possible. In this way, you're actually breaking a 2-hour study session into 4 parts, and it's actually something that will help you be more productive. It will be more efficient in the way you study. So this Pomodoro technique is something that is very important. And believe me, if you use this technique, even when you are a professional, when you start working, it is going to help you. So if you are a professional or if you want to recommend this to your siblings or your other friends, you can tell them to do this when they are working also. So work for the 25 minutes, take a short break, come back to work. You are going to be more efficient and you're going to be more productive. So this was the Pomodoro technique, very important, something that you can do while you're studying for exams, even in the review stage. Okay, so that is the Pomodoro technique. And this last aspect of what you need to do, PLRS, we have already discussed. This is the last thing that surrounds this is check. How are you going to keep a check on yourself? How are you going to test yourself? So first thing is having self-tests in every book, in every textbook. At the end of the chapter, you will have some key questions. You will have some important questions that are given which cover everything. You can ask your professors. I'm sure they will be more than happy to give you some questions to study for. So self-test, you can also solve old papers, which are easily available in every college library. So solve old papers, do your self-test. With this, you're going to revise your information. So that's one way in which you can keep a check. Assignments given by teachers. Teachers give you assignments so that you are getting familiarized with the information. You know which chapters are there, what all to expect from those chapters. Please do all the assignments that your teachers are giving. Their intention of giving you assignments is not to burden you, but it is to actually help you study effectively. By giving you assignments throughout the semester, they are actually using the Pomodoro technique, right? They're giving you small assignments. In that way, you're covering the whole syllabus. So assignments, think of it as the Pomodoro technique. Instead of studying 4 chapters at the end of the semester, you study one chapter across the semester, and you have completed your syllabus for the whole semester. So assignments, very important. Now, rereading may not always help. Simply reading information, बहुत बार स्टूडेंट्स ऐसे कहते हैं कि आई हैव to read information, मैंने टेक्स्ट बुक पढ़ा था, but have you done active recall? No, you haven't done active recall. That's why you're more likely to forget. So simply reading, and especially for things like maths, commerce related subjects, science related subjects where you have formulas, equations, or even for social sciences, when you have big concepts, you have in-depth concepts that you have to study, simply reading may not always help. So active recall at each stage is very important. Making notes, making those concept maps are going to be very important part of your studies. So rereading, simply doing that may not help you. हमें हमेशा लगता है मैं पढ़ के गई थी, but in the exam hall you don't remember. But that's because you've simply read the information. You have not an active recall. So that's one thing to keep a check on when you are revising and familiarizing yourself with the material. And this is a table that I would suggest to have. One, when you're doing the self-test, when you're doing the active recall, you can see which questions you got wrong. So analyze which questions you got wrong. What was the question type? Was it a theory question? Was it an objective type question? Was it a question related to dates? Was it a question related to formulas? What was it that you went wrong in? The reasons why you got it wrong. Now, there could be 2 reasons. One is that you did not understand the topic. Second, you did not practice enough. Now, if you didn't understand the topic and that's why you got the question wrong, you need to ask your professors to explain you and help you, and I'm sure they will. So that is one thing. Second is you have not practiced enough. So you need to practice more. You will understand what the reasons are. And the last aspect of the checking component is where and what the solution is. Is it that your notes are incomplete? Is it that you've not understood the information? Is it that practice number of times you have practiced has not been enough? That is something that you need to analyze. If you have this checklist for yourself for each subject also, maybe not for each chapter, but at least for each subject, if you know what questions you got wrong, what are the types of questions, reasons, and solution, you are self-sufficient to take care of all the problems that you are facing and whatever you are struggling with when you are studying. So these are some things that you need to keep in check when you are studying. Now, coming to the last part, some bonus tips, some additional tips that you need to keep in mind. One is keep your study space separate from your leisure space. Now, in psychology, we call this as context effect. What is context effect? That if you are studying while you are in bed, your mind is going to have this kind of connection with the bed, that bed is for sleeping. So I would suggest, please don't sit on your bed. I'm sure it's not possible for everyone to have separate rooms in the house, but at least don't sit on your bed when you're studying or when you're attending lectures, because the body becomes too relaxed and too comfortable, and then we're not able to focus. So your leisure space and your study space should be separate. Leisure space should be separate, especially for you to feel refreshed. Pomodoro technique, if you are following 5 minutes, if you sit on the bed, you're going to feel truly relaxed because your brain has connected with the idea that bed is for sleeping. Our brain is very smart, but we have to train it in a particular way to become more smarter. So keep your study space separate from, even if it is sitting next to the bed, that's good enough. But don't sit on your bed for lectures or for studying, because you're going to be too relaxed, just like this meme that I've put on the screen. You're going to become too relaxed and then you're not going to be able to study. So try and do this. If you aren't doing this already, please try and inculcate this as a habit, even for when you're a professional. Don't work from where you sit, or where you sleep. Don't do that. That's going to make you more productive. So keep leisure and study space separate. Silence may not always help. Now, this is truly something that the pandemic has taught us. Everybody is at home, everybody is working and studying in the online mode. You must be having siblings who are doing their lectures, you might be having parents or siblings who are working. So there's never going to be true silence in your house. So don't expect that. Just like in the introduction, we all spoke about how this new normal is. We have to get used to the idea that there will be sounds in our surrounding. We won't get that library kind of environment in the house. But remember that this is going to be the case when you're giving your exams also. Your parents may be doing their work, siblings may be doing their lectures, your grandparents may want to watch TV. All these sounds are going to be there. Get used to it. Don't make it an excuse. Don't say that agar thodi shanti hoti to I would study better. No, just make the best out of the situation and say that okay, fine, it is a little noisy, but I have to be giving my full attention and concentration. Make sure you try and use that and not just be concerned about what the situation is. We have to adapt with whatever existing situation we are in. Avoid multitasking. Even if we all feel very confident and overconfident about multitasking, uh, it does not work. Science has proven that we cannot multitask, especially for things that require our attention and concentration. Work and studying both require immense concentration if you want to do well. If you multitask, you're not going to be enjoying that leisure. So if you are wanting to watch a YouTube video and you want to study, neither will you enjoy the YouTube video nor will you be able to study. So monotasking is your best solution. Do one thing at a time. Pomodoro technique also tells us that 25 minutes study, then you can take your break for 5-10 minutes. But remember one more thing, not extending the break from beyond 5 to 10 minutes. Keep it at that and use the Pomodoro technique. So, multitasking, we think we are good at it, but we really are not. We are good at just procrastinating and wasting time. So, don't try to multitask also. Make sure you do one task, you do that one task absolutely perfectly. Socializing, हम बहुत मिस करते हैं फ्रेंड्स को देखना. We as professors also miss seeing you all students in college. We miss meeting our colleagues in college. But we have to take care of ourselves. The pandemic is still on. Socialize in whatever way you can. It will keep you motivated. Have a group call with your friends to study, to make notes together. Stay connected. We are humans and we are social beings. We are social animals. In psychology, we always describe humans as social animals. We need that interaction. We are there with our family, but we do require our friends, our colleagues, all of them to be around. Because of the pandemic, all of that has unfortunately reduced. But that does not mean we don't use technology. We have survived the pandemic because of technology. So let's use it for this also. Have group study sessions. Try and make sure that those group study sessions are for studying. A little bit of chit chat here and there is good, but stay connected. It is very important. It will help you enjoy a little bit about that college life that you all are missing. So socialize and stay motivated, motivate each other, and be more productive by being connected. Commit, very important. Whenever you fill a form, what do you write in profession? You write as student, right? So right now your profession is being a student. So commit to that profession of being a student. Give it your 100% concentration and attention. Believe me, if you are busy and productive in the weekdays, you will definitely have free weekends. If you do everything that is required in the weekdays from Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday, you will easily have 1 or 2 days off. Believe me, you won't have to sit and cry that weekends पे भी मैं assignments कर रही हूँ, weekends पे भी notes बना रही हूँ. No, if you do and utilize all your time very well on weekdays, I can guarantee you that you will have free weekends to do whatever you want, to go and do all the parts of your hobbies, meet friends, or just have leisure time. So commit, but make sure that you're using your time effectively from the weekends or from the weekdays in the weekends. And last but not the least, it's okay not to be okay. As a psychologist, it is my duty to tell you that it's absolutely fine to feel anxious. It's absolutely fine to feel concerned. And if you are having such anxiety issues, if you're panicking a lot, and if you feel like you cannot control it at your own level, please seek professional help. I'm aware that Acharya College has a great counseling center. Please use your services. All colleges have counselors on board. There are so many counselors available for online therapy sessions. Please see a professional if you are feeling very anxious, if you feel like things are not okay, because it's fine to feel that way. Believe me, if you are feeling anxious, you're not the only one. There are a lot of people who are struggling. The pandemic has not been very nice to a lot of us in many different ways. So it's okay to not be okay. Please seek help. If it's not manageable at your own level, please seek professional help. And that is an urge from a psychologist to every one of you. And with this, I would like to conclude by saying good luck to everyone. Exams are upcoming, and I hope some of these techniques are helpful, will be utilized by you as a student, as a professional. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Yeah. So
Yes,
yeah, so there are some questions from our students. So I guess you would like to take them.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
So, first important question. There are two questions which I'm clubbing together. See, because of all these pandemic, what has happened is though there are small spaces, people have to still, work, study in such small spaces. So, what would you suggest or give some bonus tips to them? Another is slow internet connection. So that's how we can tackle such a thing because this creates anxiety for many. So how would you could you some put some light on this?
Yeah. So first thing is about small spaces. I know everyone does not have the luxury of having their own private space, especially in Mumbai where we are living in literally matchboxes. It's everyone's houses are small. We don't have our own personal space. It's fine. If you use the Pomodoro technique, and even if you are able to focus for 25 minutes to 30 minutes in those multiple sessions, you're going to be able to make the most out of it. And as I said, our environment is not going to be completely silent ever. We live in a metropolitan city. Even if you attend college, there will be sounds from outside. So I would suggest the students to think about when you were in college, you would still be able to hear outside noise. Fest चालू है, fest का आवाज आ रहा है. दूसरे lectures का आवाज आ रहा है. Students who are sitting in the canteen, you can hear them. So, we suddenly begin to feel like house should be very quiet. But let me tell you, colleges are also not quiet and they should not be unless it's a library. So think about it in that sense. Think about it that colleges are also the same. So don't treat your house that, okay, mere ghar mein utna jagah nahi hai, that's why I can't study. Don't make it an excuse. If you give your 100% in that 25-30 minute cycle of studying, you're going to be able to do that. Second thing about the internet, that the concern was raised by students. Now, internet issues, of course, it's a technical part where we don't have much control. We can't even predict when the internet will stop functioning properly. But what we can do is, instead of panicking, think about skim reading. So the preview stage of skim reading, if you have done your skim reading, you know what the professor is teaching, and what you have missed out, you can always track it back and ask the professor to repeat it later for you. If you didn't do the skim reading in the preview stage, pre-class reading नहीं की है, तो आपको पता नहीं चलेगा कि what the professor is teaching. So the pre-class readings are going to actually help you even in poor internet connection. Even if you miss out 5 to 10 minutes, you know that you will what sir or ma'am must be teaching. If she is on section 3, you miss 10 minutes, you know that section 4 start ho gaya hoga. So pre-class reading is the solution to that, and not panicking.
Wow, I guess that must have answered both the questions to all the students. Another question that we have is, do you have like any other techniques that there are some students who are appearing for competitive exams like UPSC and CAT? So any special techniques or special tips for them?
I think for competitive exams with the Pomodoro technique, you have to expand your number of hours. So instead of 25 to 30 minutes, you probably would have to sit for 40-45 minutes and then do a 5 to 10 minute break. And Pomodoro technique says 4 cycles, that is 2 hours. But for competitive exams, you might have to double the cycles. So instead of doing 4 cycles, you'll probably have to do 6 cycles. So multiplying your time. I would say that the techniques that I have discussed are going to be the same, because no matter which exams you're giving, even for competitive exams, you need break. Your mind needs to rest a little to function at its best, right? You can't keep it in overdrive mode. So you have to make sure that it gets little rest, but now you have to multiply the sessions. Instead of 4 rounds, you do 6 or 8 rounds and take in more hours of studying. But rest of only 5 to 10 minutes is good enough for you to be refreshed.
Yeah, thank you so much. Going to one more question. Like, as festivals are coming in, Holi and all other things, how to manage, this festival season and studies? The semester exams are coming in, and still, students are not aware. They are uncertain about what kind of questions will be asked, whether it is offline, online. So, How could you, try to encourage them to study even in such a situation?
So with all these festivals, I am not of the opinion that you have to, keep away from all of this. We have to have enjoyment. We have to have those interactions, because that is what refreshes us truly. So what I would suggest is treat your festival time as the weekend. So even if the festivals come during the weekday, even if, let's say, now Holi is on Monday, treat that Monday as a Sunday, but study on the previous day, which was a Sunday. So treat all your days before the festival and after the festival as weekdays. On the festival day, you can consider it as weekend. So if you are working efficiently and productively on the weekdays, you will definitely have the time to enjoy all your festivals, provided you have given enough time during the weekdays, as I spoke.
Thank you, ma'am. So one last question, which we all will take. So the question here is, though now as people are using their phones and not going out and meeting friends, they are active on social media. So how to manage your social media and your studies, and how to give importance to the studies. Anything you would like to say about this?
Yeah, so about using the apps, they can use their apps. Now in a lot of cell phones, you get the settings for timers for the apps also. So in the whole day, you can only use Instagram or Facebook for maybe 1 hour total. So all those 5, 5, 10, 10 minutes, if you use it for 1 hour, it's done. The app closes on its own, and then you can't open it. So my suggestion is use technology to solve the problems that technology has created, because there is no other way. Internally, we would want to stay motivated, but believe me, it is something that tempts us. And I'm not saying that only for students, even we as professors do get distracted. It's not like we're productive 24/7. We also have our own times when we get distracted or get demotivated. Use technology and just try to tell yourself that, those 25-30 minutes of studying, or those 4 5 hours of lectures, I have to give my 100%. As I said, treat it as a profession, because you wouldn't want to lose your professional standards and status that you have. So don't let that happen as a student also, is what I would recommend. So use technology, and थोड़ा अंदर से भी motivation लाने की जरूरत है, which I'm sure everyone can.
Thank you. Actually, this was the last question, but our Vice Principal Rama Madam, she wants to ask you a question. So I
Sure.
would like to give her a chance to unmute herself and ask question. Ma'am.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Actually, I joined in late. Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes,
Most
ma'am.
of the time, students, even if they are told like they are given a time of a week or a 10 days, they prefer doing everything last minute. So, is it like they work better under stress, or they prolong? I mean, even I'm of the opinion that daily thoda thoda karenge, so it becomes easy. But most of the time, it will be last minute. Now, I mean, I didn't hear you full. I'm sorry, but why is this happening?
Ma'am, one of the thing, of course, is technology that they are distracted, and unfortunately, we have created this false idea that जब तक मैं stress feel नहीं करूँगी तब तक मैं productive नहीं होती हूँ. A lot of students feel that. Like I had spoken about how people feel that they are good at multitasking. This is a wrong notion that we have. Our brain is really very effective, but it also has its own limitations. So students overestimate their limitations, overestimate, or they are overconfident कि 10 दिन में क्यों 2 दिन में कर लेंगे. So this overconfidence, I think, is the reason students work last minute, and this overconfidence in their own ability to multitask. They feel like दो assignment है ना कर लेंगे, time है अभी. This false sense of time also. Very often students feel like 10 din, but 10 din is not a very long time. It's actually a short time. It's 1.5 week literally. And if you think of it as 1.5 week, and if you think of it as 12 hours per day, because we are sleeping for at least 6 to 7 hours. So even if I consider 12 hours a day, students, you need to think that you have only 12 hours in one day. So you literally don't have 10 days, you have 5 functional days. So I remember one of our professors in masters, Dr. Belekar, would say that you have one day and one night. But students always overestimate this. ये one day one night नहीं होता है, one day के भी 12 hours ही होते हैं. So I'm glad ma'am brought this up, and students should make a note of this, that you don't have 10 days, you have literally 12 hours of those 10 days, so essentially 5 days. So this overconfidence and overestimation is a human tendency, and we've observed this in adults also. We also feel like we have enough time,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the question. Thank you, Saili, ma'am, for answering it so appropriately and to the point. We won't be taking much questions because it's already time up. Now we'll go to the concluding part where I would request Sakshi, our student from FYPA class, to conclude the webinar.
Good evening, everyone. To conclude today's session, I would like to say a few things about how brilliantly this webinar went and how essential it was to put some light on this topic, that is, how to become a strategic learner for the betterment of us students. Due to pandemic, there was a drastic change in our education system and we were forced to have a new lifestyle. Now, be it a teacher or a student, none of us had the experience of online teaching and learning. But to be honest, this webinar was more than helpful. We discussed about problems that students face, explored amazing and prodigious research-based strategies that we can use for the rest of our lives. We got to know about the PLRS system, something that we never heard of but would obviously like to use in the longer run. Also, taking notes and jotting down the questions asked in the lecture on the same day, blocking apps, skim reading, making concept maps is also something we all should take from the fabulous session. And last but not the least, we got convincing answers to our questions with excellent and relatable examples. I really can't thank you more, Saili ma'am, for your kind and motivating words, also sharing your aspiring thoughts, inspiring and motivating us, also for giving us your valuable time. And with that being said, I would request Aditi Gavli to propose the vote of thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sakshi. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for this webinar. I would like to thank our speakers, Dr. Satish Chandra Kumar sir and Ms. Saili Gurav ma'am, for becoming our resource person. Thanks to management of our college for supporting us. I would like I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Vidya Gauri Lele ma'am, and for support and guidance, and our vice principals, Ajay Chauhan sir, Rama ma'am, and Ali sir. Special thanks to the technical team of our college and Department of Psychology, uh, head of uh, head of Psychology Department, Kashmira ma'am. And I would like to thank all the students for patiently listening and providing valuable inputs. Also, please do fill the feedback form. It is provided on YouTube live chat. Thank you everyone for making this webinar a grand success. I declare here our webinar is over. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.